Domestication has played a large role in the stationary society which we enjoy today. A society of buildings and tightly woven cities could not exist without a food source constantly on hand. Domesticated plants and animals are essential to our daily lives, perhaps more than we think about. Today, we are on a journey through history and ancient culture, tracing domestication to its roots, to watch the process and evolutionary changes that these plants and animals have undergone since being brought into human care. Modern agriculture sprawls along miles and miles of endless field devoted to growing our food, but we've taken particular care to ensure, through crossbreeding of species and other methods, that these plants are nutritious and resistant to the elements and pests. This process of selective plant breeding stretches through thousands and thousands of years into the past, when humans first settled from being a hunting and gathering species. We're going to take a look back through time, using archaeological findings of food remains to understand and determine how far back some of our common grown foods and plants go, how long we've been cultivating them on controlled farms, and, using genetic analyzation, understand how these organisms have changed since our ancestors first grew them intentionally. The first location we visit to learn about the early domestication of plant life is Peru. Peru is home to mountainous, lush terrain, has a thriving ecosystem, and is known for its ancient, city-building natives. But we are here to look at what they ate, and the food item of discovery here is sweet potato. The sweet potato can be traced back to the Central or South American lowlands. It is believed by archaeological, linguistic, and historical investigators that this is the sweet potato's point of origin. The sweet potato has been identified at Peru's central coast, at the Ventanilla archaeological site in Chillon Valley. The site itself dates back to 2000 to 1200 BC. The sweet potato remnants found at Ventanilla have been dated twice, with the results: 1400 to 1300 BC by the third phase of Ancon sequence dating, 1300 to 1175 BC by the third phase of Colonus dating. Tubers have been found but not identified earlier in the Peruvian area. They are suspected to be sweet potatoes, and are dated from 2275 to 1750 BC. Lathrop has hypothesized that the sweet potato has been a part of human agriculture for a vast amount of time. He believes that it may indeed have been a part of the earliest South American tropical cultivation. To further support his claim, he has pointed out that the words for sweet potato are found in most languages in the tropical area. This may suggest that the plant predated the separation of cultures in the region. A work much earlier than Lathrop's describes the food plants of the U.S.'s Native American peoples. It is Harriet's report of Raleigh's colony in Virginia, published in the year 1588. A root described in this text is Okipanavak, assumed the word for the wild sweet potato. Sweet potatoes were brought from the South and Central America by Christopher Columbus. He presented them to Queen Isabella. In China, it is hypothesized that the sweet potato may have been brought by a merchant from the Philippines, or introduced to China much earlier by India and Burma. Japan's sweet potato was introduced in loci to the public in about 1615. It was reintroduced to China again in about 1674. It is theorized that the sweet potato may have been introduced to the African countries by the Portuguese in the 15th or 16th century. Lathrop's theory appears to be correct. The linguistic evidence of the sweet potato being a prevalent word in all of the cultures around the Peruvian region is a direct indicator that this plant has been alive in the culture as a food source for many generations. The spread of the sweet potato seems to be logically dated, with its earliest dispersion from the regions of South and Central America being among the natives transporting it to North America, where it was later discovered by European settlers and brought back to the east. It then traveled about Europe, eventually being traded into Africa, India, Burma, China, and Japan. Animals are a different story. Humans have domesticated animals for food sources and sources of wool or skins for clothing, shelters, or leather tools. The most evident changes with domestication and the most sought after are the changed dispositions of these animals. Passive, tame species that have a lesser chance to act unpredictably and harm the humans with which they are intended to live in close quarters. Still, there are other types of relationships and reasons that humans had for domesticating animals. Transportation or being able to haul loads for horses. Companionship and hunting aid for dogs. But it is these companions, dogs, which we first set our sights upon, and for that, we look to Siberia. Within a cave in the Altai Mountains, the remains of a dog-like species of wolf were found. They were once theorized to be the dog's ultimate ancestor, dating back 36,000 years. This sparked the notion that dogs originated from Asia. However, it has now been found, through DNA sampling, this is untrue. These fossils have no ties to the modern dog of today. However, they still are the oldest evidence for the domestication of canines. The idea to domesticate the wolf seems to be the original claim of the Arctic hunters. It has been revealed, through these dates and circumstances, that dogs were indeed domesticated in the day and age of hunting and gathering, predating settlements and farms. The DNA linkings, however, place the dog not in Asia, but in Europe. They seem to have been domesticated from an ancient wolf population that is now extinct. During this time, man in the region was downing large game such as mammoth. These large, often stationary carcasses probably provoked some wolves into helping humans down their prey. These findings are fairly new, as instead of attempting to compare the DNA of modern dogs and modern wolves, they have instead compared the DNA of modern dogs and ancient wolves that have since lived and died. These DNA studies have been mitochondrial, but the next step after already revealing such results is to compare the nuclear DNA of ancient wolves and modern dogs to reveal further information. DNA of the nucleus contains the genetic code for both parents of the subject, thus holds more information in the genetic chain. Mitochondrial DNA is only maternal, passed down by the mother and holding only her genetic pattern. The hypothesis of dogs from ancient wolves seems to be the most logical. At a time where mammoth, an extinct species, are a primary part of life and food source, is it so far-fetched to think that perhaps these canines evolved from a species of wolf that is no longer walking the earth? We believe it is more probable that a wolf that has since fallen to extinction is the prelude to the current domesticated dog. Man's company may have become akin to an evolutionary factor. Wolves who took the company of humans thrived and ate much more plentifully than those that did not, making their offspring healthier, and perhaps even safer, looked after by man as well. This would rule out the wild wolves, causing them to fall to extinction in the face of the competition of humans and domesticated wolves combined. We once again travel, this time to Central America. We are looking at Mexico, where new findings have presented evidence of how far back the domestication of the pepper plant has gone. Chili peppers are a staple of Mexico. There seems to be a very valid reason behind this, for it has been discovered that the chili pepper has been a food source for the Mexican people possibly as far back as 8000 BC. They are a part of a complex diet that the natives living in the region had. Evidence of domesticated chili peppers was found in a cave in Tehuacan Valley in south-central Mexico. These date to approximately 5000 to 6000 BC. Wild and cultivated chilies have their distinct differences, but most are visual. Over the years of ancient history, different types of chili crops were traded between points and tribes in the New World. The chili plant was dispersed through most of North and South America this way, and this is possibly how our Peruvian sweet potato ended up in the hands of the Native American tribes in North America. Both plants and animals have shown signs of influenced evolution since their domestication began. Horses, for example, have since been influenced to have less muscle glycogen in breeds that were produced for show instead of work. A note to keep in mind about plant domestication is the genetic drift that causes most of the genetic pool to be lost over time. Plants very well may have more than one point of origin. Archaeologically, this can prove to be the case in some places. Such is the mystery with the Amazonian peach palm. It was domesticated for unknown reasons, perhaps to ferment the fruit or use the tree for wood, but its origin is in dispute between 3 locations of domestication around South America.